Islamabad, the capital of Pakistan, witnessed heightened security measures as the Pakistan Army was deployed to ensure the smooth running of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization (SCO) summit. The summit brought together world leaders, putting Islamabad in the international spotlight. However, the event coincided with rising political tensions in the country. The Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf (PTI), led by former Prime Minister Imran Khan, had announced a protest march towards Islamabad. Khan called for his supporters to gather in the capital, demanding immediate elections. The presence of the army for the SCO summit added another layer of complexity to the situation. The government cited security concerns and the need to maintain order during the international event as reasons for the deployment. However, the PTI viewed it as a tactic to stifle their protest. The deployment underscored the high stakes surrounding the planned protest. It also highlighted the government's determination to prevent any disruptions during the high-profile SCO summit. The atmosphere in Islamabad was tense. Security checkpoints were set up throughout the city. There was a noticeable increase in police and paramilitary personnel. The authorities were on high alert, prepared to respond to any potential unrest. The deployment of the army, even if for the SCO summit, raised concerns about the potential for the situation to escalate. It remained to be seen how the government would handle the delicate balancing act of ensuring security for the summit while also managing the PTI's planned protest. As anticipated, the situation in Islamabad escalated quickly as PTI supporters attempted to enter the city. Clashes broke out between the police and protesters. The PTI supporters, energized by Imran Khan's calls for protest, attempted to breach security cordons. They demanded the right to peaceful assembly and voiced their opposition to the current government. The police responded with tear gas and water cannons to disperse the crowds. The heart of the issue was the PTI's allegations of election rigging and a foreign conspiracy behind Imran Khan's removal from power. They demanded immediate elections, believing that the current government was illegitimate. The government, however, maintained that the elections were free and fair. They accused Khan and the PTI of inciting violence and attempting to disrupt the democratic process. The clashes between the PTI supporters and the police exposed the growing rift within Pakistani society. The situation reflected a deeply polarized political landscape. Each side blamed the other for the unrest, further deepening the divide. The clashes also raised concerns about the potential for further violence and instability. International observers watched nervously, urging both sides to show restraint. The situation took a dramatic turn as the government launched a crackdown on the PTI leadership. Several high-ranking PTI officials, including former ministers, were placed under house arrest. The government justified these measures, stating that they were necessary to prevent further incitement of violence and to maintain law and order. They accused the PTI leaders of instigating their supporters and posing a threat to national security. Imran Khan, however, remained defiant. He accused the government of attempting to silence dissent and suppress the PTI's legitimate right to protest. He urged his supporters to remain peaceful but steadfast in their demands for free and fair elections. The arrests of PTI leaders only served to further inflame the situation. The arrests signaled a hardening of the government's stance. It became clear that they were not willing to tolerate any disruption during the SCO summit. The international community, while acknowledging Pakistan's right to maintain order, expressed concern over the arrests. They urged the government to respect the right to peaceful assembly and to seek a dialogue with the opposition. The situation remained volatile, with the potential for further escalation looming large. In a controversial move that drew widespread criticism, the government imposed a communication blackout in major cities, including Islamabad. Mobile internet services and social media platforms were suspended, severely restricting the flow of information. The government argued that these measures were necessary to prevent the spread of misinformation and rumors, which they claimed were being used to incite violence. However, the communication blackout was widely condemned as an attempt to stifle dissent and control the narrative. Journalists, human rights organizations, and ordinary citizens criticized the move as an infringement on their fundamental rights to freedom of expression and access to information. The blackout also raised serious concerns about transparency and accountability, making it difficult to verify information and assess the situation on the ground. The communication blackout highlighted the government's anxieties about the potential for the protests to spiral out of control. By limiting communication, they aimed to disrupt the PTI's ability to mobilize supporters and organize further demonstrations. However, this tactic backfired, as it only served to further fuel anger and mistrust towards the government. The international community expressed concern over the communication blackout, urging the Pakistani authorities to restore internet services and respect the right to freedom of expression. As the situation in Pakistan unfolded, the international community watched with growing unease. The United States, a key ally of Pakistan, called for calm and restraint from all sides. They urged the Pakistani government to respect the right to peaceful protest, while also emphasizing the importance of upholding the rule of law. The European Union echoed these sentiments, stressing the need for dialogue and a peaceful resolution to the crisis. Human rights organizations, including Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, condemned the government's crackdown on the PTI and the imposition of the communication blackout. They called for the immediate release of all political prisoners and urged the government to respect fundamental freedoms. The international community's response highlighted the high stakes involved in the ongoing political turmoil in Pakistan. The international community's concerns stemmed not only from a commitment to democratic values, but also from a recognition of Pakistan's strategic importance in the region. A stable and democratic Pakistan is crucial for regional security and stability. The international community's calls for restraint and dialogue reflected a shared hope that Pakistan could find a way out of the crisis without resorting to further violence or repression. The events surrounding the PTI protests and the government's response had a profound impact on Pakistan's political landscape. The clashes, arrests, and communication blackout exposed the fragility of the country's democratic institutions and the deep polarization within society. The crisis raised serious questions about the future of political stability and the rule of law in Pakistan. While the immediate crisis eventually subsided, the underlying tensions and grievances that fueled the protests remained unresolved. The relationship between the government and the opposition continued to be marked by mistrust and animosity. The event served as a stark reminder of the challenges facing Pakistan's democracy. The international community continued to monitor the situation closely, emphasizing the need for inclusive dialogue, respect for human rights, and a commitment to democratic principles. The future of Pakistan's political stability and its ability to address its many challenges hinged on the willingness of all stakeholders to engage in constructive dialogue and work towards a more inclusive and democratic future.